Harold,
Hello.
how you doing?
I'm good.
Good, good.
Any fireworks? Wait until tomorrow, right?
Yeah, yeah. Tomorrow night, you can
Yeah,
see them.
the golf
They're doing
course.
it. The golf course. Yeah. Can you see them from your house?
Yeah, yeah.
That's good.
It's nice they do it.
Yeah, they haven't done it for 2 years actually.
Oh,
Last year,
really?
last year was a glitch, and the year before it was COVID. They didn't do it during
Uh-huh.
then, but they're supposedly doing tomorrow about 10 minutes or something.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh. I like that picture behind there. What's that? That colored picture. What is that? Who's the
It's
artist
a,
for that one?
his name is Frank Stella.
Oh, Frank Stella. Oh, okay. Yeah. Very nice. Yeah.
Thank you. I just got it.
Oh, wow.
Kenny, you're sideways.
I know.
Defying
I got
gravity.
my phone plugged in. I don't know. Here, is that better? Upside down?
Yeah, now you're
Doesn't
upside down.
Put it in between the bananas.
Yeah,
What's going on, boys?
not much. Went to the beach yesterday. It was overcast the entire day.
Got a suntan.
Yeah, I got dark, but the sun didn't come out. I guess ultraviolet rays or whatever.
It's 102 in Palm Springs, though.
Oh my.
Oh, I should be there.
Yeah, it's
How
hot.
are your parents doing out there? Are they still there?
No, they're in 102 in the Bay Area.
Wow, that's worse because it's
It's
probably
100
humid.
Do
But I'm
the
going to
Bay
see
Area?
them. We're going to meet in 2 weeks in Paso Robles.
Oh, nice. Okay, meet halfway.
It'll be my dad's 85th.
Oh, how nice.
Beautiful. Good night, Ahora.
Yep, I still can't beat him at golf.
How about a tennis?
Tennis, I can beat him, yeah. But that's just because he can't move. Hit a cross court, you win.
Is retired? Is your dad
Pickleball.
retired?
He's been retired for 24 years, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
So in 24 years, that's a lot of golf.
That's a lot of golf.
You
Yeah.
better be good.
Right, exactly.
Your mother's good too, isn't she?
Yeah. My mom's a jock.
It's a very frustrating sport.
Yeah, it's not for me.
No. It takes too long. Ernie doesn't mind.
It's too boring.
I used to go to the driving range, and that's why I used to come home on the way to work. From work, I would stop off, get a bucket of balls hit from the driving range.
Oh,
That was okay. Yeah, that was good. That just say there's activity. Just put down and you hit. You don't have to walk. Just hit. See how far you can hit the ball. Yeah, that was about.
You guys ready for the Beach Boys tomorrow night?
I am. Yeah.
Where's that? The Hollywood
Yeah.
Bowl?
Hollywood Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah.
You going, Kenny?
Yeah, we're double dating.
Uh-huh.
You
I don't
take an
want.
Uber
I just
there?
don't want to sit. I don't want to sit very close.
You're not going.
You're
to.
not where you're going to be all up in the boondocks. That's where you're going to be.
This is not a band that I really want to see what they look like.
That's
You're gonna be
also
in the-
true.
You're going to
They
be in the
look very young.
nosebleed seat.
They look very young.
I saw them a few years ago, and when they brought Brian Wilson out, they turned all the lights off
They
because he
wouldn't
can
see him.
barely walk. And then all of a sudden, he's sitting at the piano, and then when he's off, they take the lights off again. I mean, he's like 80 something.
I don't know. It could be maybe they'll have their grandkids up there playing.
They did have one of the sons. Al Jardine's son was playing.
Mhm.
Looks like him,
I don't-
sounds like him. So it
Okay.
doesn't matter. The music's good.
The music's good. It'll be a lot of fun. The fireworks are good. The wine is good.
You're bringing us some wine, Kenny. That's very nice of you.
Yeah.
In a paper bag,
Nah, I put it in a water bottle.
Thunderbird.
Put it in a water bottle, the tequila in the water bottle.
Yes, Ernie. Okay, all right. Okay, okay. What did he say? He's on his way. I don't know where from, but he's on his way.
He's from Shul. Where else is he gonna be now?
I don't know. He's on his way. Mario, you can stop the recording for a few minutes, otherwise it just takes much longer to listen afterwards.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Doc.
Hello, Ernie.
Hi, Ernie.
Ernie,
Yes.
just to let you know, tomorrow night, I think there are going to be quite a few people who are not going to be able to attend the Daf Yomi.
Why don't we make, first of all, I was thinking about also the Tzur Bashir, to maybe move the Tzur Bashir to Wednesday night.
Yeah.
That way,
Good idea.
tomorrow night with the fireworks and all that, and that we could do the Daf earlier, like, I don't know, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. You tell me what, it maybe in the
Yeah.
morning, maybe
In the
9
morning. In the morning would be
9 in the
good, no?
morning, 9 in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
Let's do it
fine, yeah.
9 in the morning, right after davening.
Correct.
There's a minyan at 8 o'clock.
Hold on a second. What time are you going to davening? Davening is 7:30. Why not? Can we make it 8:30?
I'm going to the Shard Tefillah minyan at 8, and
Yeah, Young
Israel's
Israel's
at 8. So let's make it at 9 a.m.
Okay.
That's pretty,
Okay,
that's
fine.
not too early.
Okay.
And Mario, maybe you'll send everybody
Oh, yeah.
a text for the tzurba that we're going to do it Wednesday night at 8:30,
Oh, yeah.
and then the daf Wednesday will be at 7 o'clock. Okay.
Good.
Okay. Housekeeping. Okay, so we're on Memches. Memches. We're dealing with the machloikes Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish, whether if somebody buys the rights to the fruits of a field, doesn't buy the land itself, but he buys the rights to the fruit harvest of that season. So is that considered a kinyan aguf, as if you own the goof of the karka? It makes a difference regarding the bikurim, because when you bring the bikurim, you have to read a parshas bikurim, and you can only read it if you can say adama, that it's your land. So according to Rabbi Yochanan, it says kinyan peretz ki kinyan aguf dami, you can be mevi v'korei. According to Reish Lakish, that kinyan aguf, kinyan peretz is lavke kinyan aguf dami, then you can be mevi the bikurim, but you can't read, because you can't say the land belongs to me. Okay, we know the halacha that if you, let's say you sold your land, you had an ancestral piece of land from the time of Yoshua bin Nun, and in year 30 of the Yovel cycle, you sold it. The din is when Yovel comes 20 years from now, you get your land back. You can never lose your ancestral land. So in essence, when you sell it, you're giving the guy a 20-year lease. That was understood if you sold an ancestral piece of property. Now the question is, therefore, when you sell a field during the time of Yovel, it's really only lepeiros. You're only buying it you get to get the fruit for 20 years. So it's like a kinyan peiros. So could you bring bikurim and read the parsha? Rabbi Yochanan Omer mevi v'korei. Well, that makes sense, because he holds kinyan peiros kinyan agufta. Reish Lakish Omer mevi v'eino korei. Rabbi Yochanan Omer mevi v'korei kinyan peiros kinyan agufta. Rish Lakish Amar maybe then a car kinyan peres lav kinyan gufta. Now, we already brought this machlokes when we asked the question, what if you only sell your field for the purpose of payros? Well, this selling your field bismat shayav el noyeg l'chora seems to be the same question. Why do I need this machlokes described in both of these cases? Tzricha, we need it. The itmar b'ahi. If we would have only shown this machlokes here by the Yovel case, maybe b'ahi kommer Reish Lakish. Maybe here Reish Lakish says that it's not considered a kinyan gufta chikonochis. When he enters this field after purchasing it, he knows adaita the perikonochis, and therefore he's not thinking about the goof. Aval bahach. But in the other case, the adaita the goof of konochis, that he is going in for the goof of the karka. Maybe he'll admit to Rabbi Yochanan. They could be maybe v'koyre. And maybe if we'd only told this story, the first case is when you sell a field, but only for payros. Well, Reish Lakish holds the person has his das on the land on the goof. So maybe I would think that Reish Lakish would admit to Rabbi Yochanan. But let's say the machlokes was only told here by the Yovel case. Maybe v'hakom Rabbi Yochanan. Maybe in the other case where it's sold particularly for kinyan payros, so we have to be shown that they hold their positions in both extremes. Tzricha, Toshma, Hakoine Elon v'Karkov. Walter has a big field, and I buy a tree, one of the trees in his field with the land around it. The din is maybe v'kore. The din is I can still read, even though I have to give this land back when Yovel comes. So l'chura, this seems to be support to Rav Yochanan. There is no Yovel, so when you buy it forever. Toshma. You buy 2 trees, maybe the enakor, because it's not considered a field. But if you buy 3 trees, hashloisha maybe the kara. Yet you have to give the land back at Yovel. Now, Rav Chizda comes and teaches us something new. That the machlokas is only b'Yovel Sheni. The second time that the Jewish people, after entering Eretz Yisrael, did a Yovel. Then they knew they had experience with returning the land after 50 years. So there's a machlokas. Is the person's das on the field or not? Ava b'Yovel Rishon. But when they first came into Eretz Yisrael and they bought and sold fields prior to the first Yovel, Divra Kol Mevi V'Korei, the Akati Lo Samach Datayu, they didn't have experience with giving land back, and therefore they all had their mind on the land. And therefore, we can also resolve the machlokas that we said about maybe v'korei not, because we could say habi yovel rishon, habi yovel sheni. Yovel rishon, everybody agrees that you can be korei. Yovel sheni, no. Lema kitanon. Let us say that the following is machlokas tanon. Minayin lokech soda me'avi. Person bought a field from his father. V'igdisha. And the son gave it to the Beis HaMikdash while the father was still alive. And it was a bought field. It wasn't a ste'achuza. It's called a ste'mikne, not a ste'achuza. It was not an inherited field. Then, achar kach meis avi. Then his father died. Well, he inherits the field now. So now it becomes a ste'achuza. But when he was magdish it was a ste'mikne only. It was a purchase field. Now, by a ste'achuza, if somebody's magdish a field you can be pointed it. But if he does not point it and Yovel hits, doesn't go back to him. A stem mikneh, a purchase field, does go back to the Bible. So since he bought it from his father, and then he inherited it, it goes back to him. So it would be a big nafkamina. So minayin shetei lefonav k'steachuza. We should view the field as a steachuza because he now inherited it. Talmud loymar im et stem miknaso asher lo misdeachuza. So the shein really steachuza. Only a field that it's not can never become a steachuza. Yotzazush really steachuza. Different with Rabbi Shimon. Since he's buying it from his father, it's right to be a steachuza. Even though later on, even though he got it initially through kniya, through purchase, it can be viewed as a steachuza. He says if a person buys a field from his father and then mesav, so now he inherited it, so it's a steachuza. The achar kachidisha, minayin shetelefonim because steachuza has to be treated like a steachuza. And if he doesn't point it before Yovel, he loses it. Talmud loymar, im et stem miknasah shalom is dechuza so. Sodesh shein dechuza. That refers to a field that's bought. Yatzazushi is dechuza. He inherited it. Now, ilu Rabbi Shimon meis aviv va'achar kachidisha. For Rabbi Shimon, in a case where the father dies and the guy inherits it, and then he's magdish it. Lo tzricha kra, because it's clearly a steachuza. And perhaps why does one need a posuk and one doesn't? My love hakamifliki. The Rab Meir Savar, kinyan perske kinyan duftami. Even when you only acquire a field temporarily, it's considered like you acquired the whole thing. Really, nothing changes with the death of his father. Because when he had kinyan pairs of kinyan guf, now he has the kinyan guf, he's not really a yorish. It would have needed a pasuk to give me the chiddush. But Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Shimon Sarvi kinyan pairs lavki kinyan guf dami. So he was not an owner of the field. Now when the father dies, his status towards the field changes. He becomes a steachuza, not a stemikneh. Therefore, only for the first case, where he bought it and then it was magdish it. Who did? I reject this attempt to say that this machlokas tanoim is kinyan peiros kinyan guftami. It's not. Really, in a normal case, Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Shimon will also hold kinyan peiros is kinyan guf. V'ach Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Shimon kra ashchol v'darush. They darshan like this: Lichtav Rachmana im et stem miknaso asher lo achuzaso. If it happens to be a purchased field and not an inherited field. But why did it add the word mistay? My mistay achuzaso. To teach me what they learned. It's only a stem mikneh. It's only a stem mikneh when it can never become a stechuza. This is a case where he bought it from his father where it can become a stechuza. Rav Yosef. He loved Rav Yochanan. If it wasn't for Rav Yochanan saying kinyan pairs is like buying the field, we wouldn't be able to stay in the base of Medrash. You have brothers who inherited their estate from their father. There are 5 brothers, and they each got a piece of land, and they divided it up. We view them as purchasers. And comes Yovel, they each give it back to each other, and they redivide it. Because if having rights to payros doesn't give you rights to the goof, lo mishkachas the mitzvah bikurim. The only person to ever be able to be Mevi V'Koreh is Elachad Barchad Ad Yeshua ben Nun. It would have to be one father, one son inheriting from one father, going all the way back to Yeshua ben Nun. Otherwise, each time they would be giving it back. It wouldn't be a Steh Chuza. It would be a Steh Mikneh. Must be Kinyan Peres is Kinyan Aguf Dami. Period. Amarava. Kra umasnis Messiah Reish Lakish. Pasuk in the Baraisa supports Reish Lakish. Kra, because it says b'mispar shnei tfuos yim korla. That the gufa sod is not what's sold, just the schus of eating the tvua. And masnisa titanya. Bechor noitel pishnayim b'soda chozres la'avi b'yozel. Bechor also gets double portion in a field that goes back to his father b'yozel. Father sold the field in year 20, and then he got it back at Yovel. Even if the father dies, they get it back. So even though the father sold it, and the payros belong to somebody else, it's not considered royi, but it's rather means a bechor only gets pishnayim if it's muhzak, if it's in the estate of the father. If it's only potential, if only falls later, a bechor doesn't get pishnayim of that. Here, if he gets pishnayim, it seems like it's been in the hands of the father all along, even though he sold it off. Mashma that the guy who bought the field from him only bought the rights to the payros, and the gufa karka remains in the estate of the father, and that's why the bechor gets pishnayim of it. Amar Abaya Naktinon Baal b'nichse ishto tzarech harsha. Let's say a husband marries a wife that comes in with a lot of property. So a husband's allowed to eat the payros of that property, but the goof belongs to the wife. Now, if a person comes and tries to make some kind of claim against the karka of his wife, he has to get permission from his wife. Since his schus is only to eat payros, we paskin that kinyan payros is not kinyan aguf. And the other side can claim, listen, I have nothing to do with this Baal. Unless the wife writes, he is standing in my place. That's a harsha. V'lo amaron elashul nachas aperi. That's only if the guy who's coming to make a claim is coming to make a claim against the gufa karka. Aval nachas aperi. But if the claim is about the payros that the field produces, so the husband clearly has a monetary right to those payros. Migo de mishtoi dinei aperi, mishtoi dinei aguf. It's like a migo. It's like a rolling thing. It's like an agav kinyan. Since the husband can adjudicate with him regarding the payros, he can also adjudicate with him in that case on the karka without a specific harsha from the wife.
Can a bechor get a pishnayim from a note? Because it's not in his possession. As if it's just like it's just like an IOU. Can he get pishnayim from that?
Can we wait till we get to Baba Basra, please?
Okay, fine. I just thought maybe I knew offhand. I can't remember.
No, in terms of what is considered within the estate.
Yeah.
But we've learned here that if the father sells off when the yovel was noyeg, a piece of property, so that property is going to return by yovel. So the person bought only the right to eat payros. So the goof remains in the estate of the father. That's why the bechor has a right to pishnayim, because the gufa karka never left the estate. Now, regarding a loan, we're going to deal with all that. That's not here.
Well, I just thought of, since we talked about before, I just asked a child about that.
Well,
Since but a piece of land, he can't do anything with it. He has no rights to. If a father sells off the land, even if we say Kenyan goof, he can,
no, but we
Kenyan
say that the gufa karka remained with the father.
yeah, but he has no
It's not
control of it.
Roy. It's not something that's going to come into the estate. It never left the estate. Meaning a Bechor doesn't get, let's say after the father dies, a Yerusha comes in from a brother of the father that dies. The brothers divide that equally. The Bechor doesn't have a right to that because it wasn't present in the estate when the father died. That's considered muhzik. Whatever's muhzik, whatever. So here now we've learned that if the father sold off a field according to this principle, that Kinyan Paris says lavke Kinyan aguf, the karka, the group of the karka remains. So he's muhzik in it. So he's muhzik in it. You ask a good question about a shtar, that if the father loaned money, it's not in his possession right now, he's destined to get it back, that might be viewed as roy, because he's going to get paid 5 years later after the father died. Maybe it's not viewed. But maybe the star, since it's there, it's viewed. So I don't have any answer to that at this point. We will, when we get to Baba Basra, we will deal with what asset classes are considered roy and what's considered muzik, like this. Okay. No, I don't know offhand in Choshen Mishpat the dinim of Bechor. I've learned Yoredeya. I haven't learned Choshen Mishpat to know offhand, off the top of my head, the dinim of a Bechor in terms of what is considered muzik and what is not. I'm picking up as we go along. Here we've learned that the karka that is sold can be considered if yovel. But when yovel is not noyeg, when land is sold, it's sold permanently. So it would never be coming back. So the Bechor would have no right to it. Right?
Okay.
That's good.
Perek Hamish. Talking about Baba Kama, talking about the Babas, we're going to be thrown right in the midst of it right here. Hanizakim. Somebody who's damaged by a damager. And the one who was damaged requires a payment to be paid to him by the mazik. Now, Shamin Lahen, based in the Dayanim, in order to pay the damages, calculates what should be paid back from the idis of the mazik. So there are 3 classes of land. Idis, the best, Beinanis, middle, and Ziburis, bad. So let's say Idis is Rodeo Drive, Beinanis is Beverly Boulevard, Ziburis is someplace in Compton. There's different values to the property. A guy might own property in all 3 places. Listen what Rashi says. So we do the calculation based on the Nichse Amazik. Shenoach lo la'adam ligvos muat mikarka idis v'lo ligvos harbi mizipurs. They knew the psychology of real estate owners. They said, there's now a debt to pay of $1,000. He'd rather sell off a very small area in Rodeo Drive, but keep, right? He only sells, 1 square foot. He'd have to excuse me. He would, the Nizik would rather collect from small area in Rodeo Drive than 10 blocks in Compton. And mipnei tikkun ha'olam. We'll see why it says tikkun ha'olam. The halach in the Shulchan Aruch Choshen Mishpat says that when you come to pay, when a mazik comes to pay, you take from the best. We're talking about if he doesn't have cash to pay and he has to sell property. So you collect from, and the marshal comes and takes property, you take from the best property of the mazik. That's how the Rabbim Choshen Mishpat Pasuk. The nizik can claim that. It's his, he has the claim on that best piece of property. Baal Choiv. Now, if you're a creditor, somebody owes you money, and you go to him, he doesn't have the cash to pay. So you can collect, if the loan had been mortgaged with a piece of property, then you can collect a piece of property. But you can only get baininess. You can only force him to sell baininess, not idis, in order to get your money. Ksubasisha biziburis. A woman is divorced or her husband dies and she wants to collect her ksuba and the estate doesn't have cash. She can only collect from the worst property, from the property in Compton. That's the Tanakam. Reb Meir Omer af ksubasisha b'beininus. He argues and he says it's also collected from middle, not inferior. Okay. That's the first item of business of this Mishnah. Second item. Ein nifra min nechasim mishubadim b'makom sheyesh nechasim b'nei chorin. Nechasim b'nei chorin is cash or metaltalin, free and clear assets. Now let's say, so when any debt should initially be paid with free and clear assets. The guy doesn't have cash. The guy doesn't have metaltalin. Why? Because he previously sold off some land. So let's say there's a debt and the date of the loan was January 1 and he sold off the land April 1. So the land, he had that piece of land and that land was meshubed to the loan. So if he comes now June and demands repayment, he doesn't have any cash, he's allowed to go to the person that bought that land from the guy who borrowed the money and take it as payment. And then the guy who bought the land will have to go to the guy who gypped him, and because he didn't tell him, or we'll see, buyer beware. You have to do a title search to make sure the guy doesn't have any debts before you buy a piece of property. It might be lien to somebody else for a loan. But you don't go to nechasim that have been sold unless there's no cash. That's the second piece of halacha that we're being taught in this mission. Then, to benefit the Yisoimim, father dies, there's only Yisomim, and you have a claim against their estate. They'll pay you, but they have a right to pay you only with inferior land. Ein moitzin lachilas peros, uleshvach karkos, ulemozna isha v'abonos minachos meshubadi. Now, this is a complicated case. You have a Gazlan who stole a field and sold it to a third party. And the guy who bought the field from the Gazlan put fertilizer, built improvements, There were payros growing in that field. Now, there was an original owner of that field. He comes, this is my field. He takes his field back with all these payros that are in there. So the guy who bought it from the Goslin has to go to the Goslin to claim what he lost. He invested all this money, it's been all taken away from him. Now, the amount that he paid for the field itself, that if the Goslin has sold off land himself, you can collect from the Chosim U'Shubadim. But to pay back this value of the payros that was taken from the koina or the improvement cost, you can't take from Mishubadi. Only if he has cash available. For what? For example, if there's a wife and daughters after a man dies, one of the T'nai Ksuba is he has to pay from his assets for his wife and daughter's upkeep after his death. So to pay for Achilas Peiros, which we explained, L'shvach Karkos, which is when a Goslin stole a piece of field, or Lamozanaisha Vabonis, or to pay for the upkeep of a widow and her daughters, you don't take away from the Chosim U'Shubadim. If the guy has no other assets because he sold all the land away, there's nothing you can do. Mibnei Tikkun Ha'olam. The Gemara will have to explain what this Tikkun Ha'olam is. A person who found a lost object and returns it, and the Bailim say, you didn't give me back all of what I lost, Lo Yishava. The one who returns it doesn't have to take a shvuah. If they make him take a shvuah, nobody's ever going to return lost objects. Now, the Mishnah mentioned Mibnei Tikkun Ha'olam that you pay somebody who was damaged with the best of your fields. Freik the Gemara Mibnei Tikkun Ha'olam Daraisu. Dichsiv in the parsha of Nezek in Mishpatim, it says Meitav Sadei Meitav Karmo Yishalem. What kind of Tikkun Ha'olam? It's a Daraisa. Rabbi Eloi Tzricha Rabbi Shmuel. The Omar Midoraisa b'den Nizik Shamim. From Torah law, Rashi says Midoraisa Shim Aisa Ziburis Shel Mazik. Let's say the most inferior field that the damager had was on par with the best of the Nizik, Ki'idah Shel Nizik. Eino Magveil b'Ziburis Shalom. So you look at the Nizik, what he has. If his idis is like the mazik ziburis, the mazik gets away with paying only ziburis. So Rabbi Shmuel learns Midoraisa, that's how you did it. Kamash Malon, Shemay Tikkun Ha'olam Shtamin and the mazik. We don't, the mazik doesn't get off because of Tikkun Ha'olam. We switched it to the mazik that the nizik has the right to collect from the best of the mazik's field. Now, my Rabbi Shmuel. What is this in Rabbi Shmuel? The time. Meitav Sadeu, Meitav Karmo Yishalim. You have to pay from the best. Meitav Sadeu Shel Nizik. Meitav Karmo Shel Nizik. Like we said, that if the best field of the Nizik is the Zibur's field of the Mazik gets away with that. They're very small. No, the one who was damaged has the right to be paid from the best fields that the person has. If there's no money. The Kavachomer LaHegdish. Hegdish certainly will collect from Idis. Now, Ula Rabbi Shmuel, Ochel Shmeina. Let's say the mazik did damage to his friend's field by eating fruit from a person's field. and it was a very nice field. So, according to Rabbi Shmuel, if the mazik ate shmeina, he pays shmeina. And if he ate chusha, meaning he ate bad stuff, it's also mishalim shmeina. Why should he pay from a great field when he ate from a lousy field? On Rabbi Baravin, Hoch by Eskinon, we're talking about an animal who did damage by eating, and the animal ate one row among a lot of rows, and we don't know. We're in doubt. What was the quality of what the animal ate? In that case, we pay from the best. Now, all of you should be jumping on me right now. Thank you. Elazar is pointing out, what do you mean? It's a suffix. We don't know what the animal damaged. So why should the guy have the right to get from the best field? There's a din of a motzi mechaver. If you're going to take money from somebody, the burden of proof is on you to show what was eaten.
Because maybe it's Ernie. It's mipnei tikkun olam. We're talking about mipnei tikkun olam.
No, this is before tikkun olam.
No, but the Gemara we talked about mipnei tikkun olam.
My grandchildren just came from Israel.
Wow.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh.
What is that?
Bring me the other. Where's Ezra?
Ezra, come to grandpa.
Oh, look how happy.
Oh, what lovely, what a.
Here, Ezra.
Oh, beautiful. Can I know her?
This
Can I
one was
know her?
just like me when I was his age.
Is it Yaakov's?
With all the freckles here.
These Yaakov's
This is
children?
Shoshana. This is Shoshana.
Oh, Shoshana. Wow, beautiful.
And I have Dahlia here too.
Oh boy.
What did Walter want to say?
I wanted to say that it's the same thing that we carried on with when somebody basically the mazik came along, right? And he
right now the Gemara is talking about a case where your animal ate. We don't really know what he ate.
No, but he ate from the other guy's field.
But we don't know what quality.
But doesn't make any difference what quality. Your animal damages somebody else's field, right? So there's obviously there seems to be a takona that if you do that, right, you are responsible. It doesn't matter. It depends what the mazik's feel. Let's say the mazik has very good.
So Walter, listen again. The machlokes Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Kiva is b'nizik shaminan or b'mazik shaminan.
Right. So the nizik.
Rabbi Shmuel held b'nizik. That was a kula for the mazik, because he said if
in other words,
if the one who was damaged has a great field, but the mazik has his worst fields are like that, he can get away. He doesn't have to give from his best fields. He can give from his worst fields because they're equal. So
that's Rabbi Shmuel, but Rabbi
Akiva by the nizik. Rabbi Akiva says no. The mazik always has to pay from Edith's field, no matter what.
Right, regardless.
Now, right now, the Gemara is analyzed that we're talking about a case where the animal ate from fields that we don't know what the quality is. And yet it says you pay from native. Amar Rava, ilu yadinon shekusha achal, if he ate from inferior quality stuff, mishalim kusha. Hashta delo yadinan, what he ate, mishalim shmeina. We have a rule. Why should he have to pay a better quality? You bring me proof that he damaged X, and I'll pay you from Idis. So we'll finish this tomorrow at 9:00.
Okay.
Sure.
We're in the middle of Nezikin.
True.